My audio's still good? I had to move my mic, sorry. Okay, cool. Make sure I get his pull.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th, 2020 here to our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here, too. Figured this is kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and of course, everything is all kinds of crazy. So, this thing is a chocker. I mean,
Yeah, it's a beast.
it's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPC's Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. And that's right, everybody. Guess what? It is Friday, February 19th, 2021. Welcome to another NPC's Weekly News live stream. Tonight, we're going to be talking about NVIDIA's efforts to hinder Ethereum mining. We're also going to be talking about the most recent Nintendo Direct, and we're also going to be talking about some very interesting things on how the Xbox purchase of Bethesda and ZeniMax happens to tie into some changes that Google Stadia made here in just the last couple weeks. So again, it is the 19th of February, 2021, and of course via Discord, I am joined by Kyle. Hello, Kyle.
What's up?
All right, so as you guys can see, some stuff has changed here. Obviously, you can kind of see the border there. If I can move my hand to the right spot for Kyle's Discord, my my boot drive on my PC here, on the PC that I play games on, that I stream on, basically do everything else except my work on. The boot drive was starting to fail. I was running into some problems with things not loading up fast enough, regardless of what I did. And unfortunately, everything in OBS, because I had to buy a new boot drive and reinstall everything, all my stuff for OBS was gone. I did not make a backup of any of the settings, any of the configurations, nothing. So I had to rebuild it all from scratch. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm hoping here, Kyle, that everything actually looks okay and works okay and everything is fine. So do I sound okay from your side? Does everything look okay on the stream from your side? Are we good?
You sound okay. Everything looks mostly okay. I guess I do have the window bar at the top of the screen, but
Yeah, and I'll fix
everything
that
else
in.
looks fine.
And I'll fix that in later stuff there as I make the border a little bit bigger. But of course, guys,
Not a big issue.
it is Friday. It's time for us to talk about the news from this last week. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it with our first story of the evening. And this one comes to us from Engadget. NVIDIA limits RTX 3060 crypto speeds as it introduces mining cards. Worried that the GeForce RTX 3060 will be sold out as cryptocurrency miners snap up every GPU in sight, NVIDIA thinks that it's a simple way to help make the new card unattractive to the crypto crowd. The company has revealed that it's cutting the hash rate or mining efficiency of the RTX 3060 in half for Ethereum miners. The driver software can detect the Ethereum mining algorithm and throttle performance in response. The rationale is simple. NVIDIA wants to put GeForce cards in the hands of gamers, that'd be us, not just those hoping to turn a profit by generating digital money. While the extremely high demand from miners has been good for NVIDIA's bottom line in the short term, it has frustrated gamers, professionals, and everyday users who just want better than integrated graphics. NVIDIA even brought back years-old GPUs just to give customers some options. Scalping and price gouging have all been too common for these GPUs that do become available. It's not leaving miners empty-handed. The firm is launching a new CMP, also known as cryptocurrency mining processor line of add-in cards that doesn't do graphics but is fine-tuned for crypto mining performance. The absence of video ports allows for greater airflow and more densely packed cards, for example. The first CMP designs are the 26 megahash per second 30HX and 36 megahash 40HX, both of which should be available this quarter from vendors like Asus, EVGA, and Gigabyte. So that was a pretty simple bit there to talk about, of course, but a very interesting one nonetheless, especially because you, Kyle, were able to actually snag and secure a RTX 3080, I think, or did you go full
90.
3090? Okay,
Yeah,
you were able
I've
to
got the
snag.
full 3090.
There you go. So you were able to snag a full 3090. And I think one of the big things, though, especially for you, was the price you paid. But you're talking like, top tier card anyway, at least for right
Right.
now, unless they release a Titan version of some, for some god awful reason. Um, but this is a good thing, though, for everything that's coming out, at least right now, that at least NVIDIA is trying to tackle it this way. However, one thing the article didn't mention, and I read this in a separate article, is that this functionality can't be hacked, at least based on everything that they've done to attempt to do so. So you can't just go buy a 3060 that has this built into it and attempt to break it so that way you can actually use it at its full potential for doing cryptocurrency mining. But at the same time, any 3060s that have been sold up to the point of when this chipset has actually been released, kind of like a 1.1 refresh of the existing chipset on the 3060. Anything that's released before that will still work, at least for the full cryptocurrency mining.
Yeah, but that's also theoretical. I mean, they could potentially hack it, and then it wouldn't matter regardless.
That's also
I
true.
think I think introducing the CPUs is or not the CPUs. What are they calling them now?
GPUs.
The the CMPs or whatever.
Oh, the
Yeah,
cryptocurrency
yeah,
mining processor. Yeah, CMP.
the CMPs
Mm-hmm.
will probably negate some of that, but I think we'll still have people buying the cards in order to hack them,
Okay.
just to use them for a cryptocurrency. But yeah, I think it'll negate some of that, quite a bit actually. Theoretically, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm just curious though, like, because the way the article was reading, this other one I was looking at, is that it said it was supposed to be based on whatever revisions they're doing to the existing 3060 chipset. So again, anything beforehand that's already out may not be covered under this. So I wonder if we're going to see some sort of driver update that might, like actual driver that may actually affect any existing 3060s or even 3070s, 3080s, and 3090s.
Right. But then
And
you
then,
could get hacked
yeah.
drivers, and then it wouldn't matter regardless.
Well, so that's an interesting one to think about too, because I'm not in the scene for doing any sort of like driver rollbacks on things. I know that there's
Mhm.
ways to do it, but I've never done it before. What I'm curious about is if they do anything similar to the way like BIOS drivers work for motherboards. Like as an example, when AMD went on to say that they would support third gen Ryzen processors on B450 motherboards. The
Mhm.
biggest thing is that BIOS update did work, but it got to a point where they actually had to turn some features off in that BIOS update, and there's no way to roll back once you do it. Like
Hmm.
there was no way to roll back, and I don't have an article for anybody to reference or look at there. I know this was something I was reading because it was a big uproar about that, but not necessarily about the BIOS, but people not able to use the third gen Ryzen on B450 boards. But I digress. But basically, I'm hoping that if they do release something, as long as it's not buggy, of course, though, I mean, obviously it's got to go through extensive testing, but for them to release a driver that updates the BIOS on, or not BIOS, but whatever the base firmware is on the GPUs themselves to be able to prevent stuff like this means that for you and me and for everybody else out there who's a PC gamer, availability is going to be becoming more and more likely, especially as they
Right.
release these GPUs that are specific for crypto mining. So,
Right. And
mhm.
and it's in a specific time too when the RTX cards are hitting a more affordable price point with the 3060 cards. So,
Yeah,
more
exactly.
affordable price point means more cards are going to be available, uh potentially for the crypto miners, and this is to stop them. So,
Exactly. And I think one of the other things that might be more attractive anyway is because of them going the path of making dedicated GPUs that are that are built specifically for mining, and they nix out the ports from there. That means, especially for like HDMI, that means that that's licensing costs that they don't have to pay too, because you have to pay a fee every time you put something HDMI in. I assume DisplayPort's open, but HDMI, you have to pay a royalty fee on to whatever consortium it is that actually handles HDMI. So them removing that means that, I mean, it may be a very small amount, but it's very possible that that cost savings could be passed along, making those cards even more attractive, and then giving us the ability, you know, to have more stuff available. But I don't know.
I wonder how small the cards will be.
The way it looks is that, like they even said here from Engadget, it says the absence of video ports allows for greater airflow and more densely packed cards. So either it's going to be half the thickness of an existing graphics card, because you think it's usually an air vent, and then it's your video ports. So I'm guessing if the video ports are gone, unless the cooling is going to be absolutely necessary, it's going to be the same size. But I don't know. It's going to need the same cooling.
I mean, if you looked at my video card, it's got a huge radiator on it. Like, massive. It's a big old chunk of metal.
Oh yeah. A friend of mine I was just playing Valheim with just got a 3070, and he sent a picture, and I mean, I made fun of him for it, of course, because he's only running a micro ATX motherboard, and his case is built for water cooling, so he's got this beast of a card. It's like you don't put the graphics card on the motherboard, you put the motherboard on the graphics card with this. It's that size. It's like it dwarfs everything. You're absolutely right, though. I mean, the cooler itself is definitely big. It's definitely those are really chunky cards now for sure. So whether or not it's just those are missing, which means more vents opened up, or they can actually change the effectiveness of the cooling, who knows?
Right. Well, you figure that much processing power, you've got to have a really good cooling solution, you know.
Yeah. Well, you think too, most crypto miners are usually open air test bench looking setups anyway too. So they've got pretty good airflow, I think, even in that regard. But then this is a bonus. But yeah. So hopefully this helps. At least, you know, right now, there's no exact dates on when things are really going to start changing here. Really, there's nothing that says. So I'm guessing maybe early to midsummer, we might actually be seeing better stock on GPUs coming up here soon. I'm hoping processors end up going the same way, but there's a massive semiconductor microchip shortage across everything right now. I mean, you've got auto plants that are shutting down because their infotainment systems and computer systems can't be built and put in place. You know, it's affecting that all the way through to us PC gamers. So you just got to keep going with what you got right now, or go the route of buying a 1050 Ti or a 1650 or what do they? No, a 1050 Ti or a 2060 is what NVIDIA is bringing back. That's right. So there's that. But yeah, so let's just see what happens here going through the rest of the year. Now we move on here, and Kyle, I'm actually shocked with you that you have not watched this. I am very shocked with you that you have not watched this yet.
Honestly, the last like 20 seconds I started it just so I'd have a hand up on it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and show this here really quick. And this is not necessarily this is just more for us to discuss anyway. It's not a news story or anything like that. But we are fortunate enough that this week, yesterday actually, we got the trailer for the new Mortal Kombat movie. And I got to say, this thing looks good. However, as you can see, this is a red band trailer. So what we're about to be showing here may get us booted off of Facebook, might get us booted off of YouTube. I guess we'll have to see what happens here. But this is definitely a trailer worthy of a Mortal Kombat movie itself. So we'll go ahead and just start playing that. We'll all watch it together, and then we'll talk about it after.
First learned about this 7 years ago. On a mission in Brazil to capture a wanted fugitive. When we got there, it tore through our unit in seconds. The target had superhuman abilities. It had the same marking you do, Cole.
It's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
He was born with it.
It's not a birthmark, Cole. It means you've been chosen.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world reference a great tournament of champions. That dragon marking? I think it's an invitation to fight for something known. As Mortal Kombat.
These are your champions.
I'm Sonya. That's Kano.
I'm Liu Kang.
Name's Jax.
Kung Lao.
Lord Raiden.
The fate of Earth is in our hands.
No matter how many of my people you put in the ground, we will not fail. Kill them.
You fucking beauty.
And there we go. That, oh my gosh. So, okay, Kyle, now that you've actually watched the whole thing here, of course, first impressions on it, what do you think?
Looks pretty cool. I think it will definitely do justice to the game. It looks like they're doing it right anyway.
It really does. It's not overly cartoony, overly like lined up with, like, you know, if you look at like what the original Mortal Kombat movie was, you know, it doesn't feel like it was ripped really like straight out of a video game. It feels like it's got its own style to it, but you look at it, it's like, yeah, that's a Mortal Kombat. That's a Mortal Kombat movie. So as you guys could see in there, of course, you know, we actually had not only the introduction of a lot of our main characters, of course, but they're behind the scenes. We could see Reptile. We also had Goro. Melina was in there too. There's the giant statue of Shao Kahn. We have, of course, saw Shang Tsung in there just for a couple different little bits there too. But I did not, like, I wish Preston was on here to tell me about this. We're going to have to ask him when we're recording tomorrow. But is that how Jax actually, like, lost his arms?
I'm not certain.
I mean, because that'd be a good way to work it, but at the same time,
yeah, because if you remember that in the second movie, that was, I don't know if that was actually licensed or not. I think the whole thing was, it was an arm modification so he could track down Sonya Blade. It was to help him basically get into the tournament and get to Netherworld to track down Sonya.
Okay. Yeah, because it's like, I mean, that's a hell of a way to like spin it though, to do that. I remember the second movie because that was when they fought the robot ninja at the same time. I remember when they were doing that whole like breakout scene of the facility or whatever it was. I can't remember what the cyber ninja's name was or whatever it was. But anyway,
it was either Cyrax or Sector, I think.
Yeah, one of them. Thank you. So, saw a lot in there, and of course with the way the action actually goes though too, is there's going to be a heavy leaning, especially in the big fights, on fatalities. And I guess we didn't really see it in the trailer though. It definitely like led up to it as kind of like a teaser for it, but we're also going to see I guess potential x-rays as well too. Just like you see in the game when you go in and hit somebody hard enough and you see like their ribs completely shatter, their skull smash in. We're going to be seeing that on screen too. So that comes out here in April. That's going to be on both HBO Max and in theaters as well. So I guess if you want to sign up for another streaming service, or you want to brave going to the movie theaters with what's going on right now, there's your options. But really, are you gonna pay the money for HBO Max to go see it, or are you gonna go to the theater see it, or are you just gonna wait until it comes out somewhere else?
I already have HBO Max, so
lucky bastard. But
yeah,
I pay for enough streaming stuff here in my house. I really can't afford to do another goddamn service. So I think I'm gonna have to brave the theaters.
Yeah, that's pretty much all of my video here at the house. So it's all streaming services, unfortunately.
And for those extra movies, like when Wonder Woman 84 came out, you would have to pay not only your streaming fee, but also extra to actually see that movie, right?
You know, I'm not actually certain because I didn't watch Wonder Woman yet.
I assumed you probably hadn't. I just couldn't remember because I know that's how
pay
Disney's
for the
is.
services. I don't necessarily actually use them. I don't know why I pay for all these. It's like people paying for cable.
You're too busy.
Do you really use all those channels?
You're too busy
Probably
buying
not.
like 6 copies of every game out there for every different system you have right now. So I'm not surprised. You're too busy playing games to actually worry about it.
Right.
So I get you. It's okay. It's okay. I forgive you. God dang it. I decided to use Bluetooth instead of my regular headphones just because of how bulky they are, and these stupid earbuds keep falling out. And these are the largest little rubber nubs you could put on the end of them to hold them in place. Why are they still falling out on me? I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry. Anyway, I had to get that off my chest. Anyway, Kyle, let's talk about this next story here then. This story here is from Kotaku. And did you happen to watch anything here on this one at all?
I watched a little bit. I was somewhat disappointed.
I didn't
I'll be
really
honest.
watch. I didn't really go through and watch a lot of it. I watched the Splatoon reveal. I saw some of the Skyward Sword stuff, but yeah, let's talk about this one here, Kyle. Everything Nintendo showed during today's Nintendo Direct. So Wednesday, Nintendo had its first full-length Nintendo Direct in a while now. I think the thing went on for about almost an hour, and they actually showed off a lot of stuff, but not necessarily everything that people were really expecting. So,
Can we hold that thought? Can we
Holding
move
it.
on to the next one? I need to run out of the room for just a second.
you sure?
Yeah, can we? Yeah, it'll be just a minute, dude.
All right, go ahead. And just
All
in
right,
case,
one
there,
sec, sorry.
just in case, that's fine. I'll hide you here for now, then. And then when you're back, just tell me, okay? So then, while Kyle's gone, I'll go ahead and just read into this next story here, then, and we can talk about this one too when he gets back, and then we'll circle back around to the Nintendo Direct. So here from Polygon, Xbox's new FPS boost feature can double frame rates for backwards compatible games. Watch Dogs 2 will be among the first games to get FPS boost feature. Playing older games on the new generation of consoles is almost always better thanks to the improved power, but Microsoft is taking things a step further with a new feature called FPS Boost for Xbox Series X and S. FPS Boost will provide a frame rate increase for certain backwards compatible Xbox One titles when played on current generation Xbox consoles, doubling or quadrupling the game's original frame rates. FPS Boost will initially be available for 5 games: Far Cry 4, New Super Lucky's Tale, Sniper Elite 4, EA Sports UFC 4, and Watch Dogs 2. The frame rate for each of these games will be significantly increased according to Microsoft, which means 60 frames per second in the case of UFC 4, or all the way up to 120 frames per second for New Super Lucky's Tale. Microsoft said Wednesday in an Xbox Wire post that the company partnered closely with developers to enhance the experience while maintaining the game's original intent for titles that support FPS Boost. So while Kyle is gone, I'll talk a little bit about this because, let's see here. He threw me off here because he's gone. See, he's gone. Look at that. He's not even there anymore. Bastard. So kind of talking about this a little bit here. This is not immediately available yet. There has been no release date out. This is available though for your larger people in the industry, like Kotaku's looked at it, Engadget's looked at it, to name a few. I know it's kind of out there a little bit more, but from what Kotaku was saying about it is that they said that the first thing that happened was that they went and tried this with Sniper Elite 4, and they turned it on, downloaded Sniper Elite 4, and it ran just as it normally ran even prior to, with the FPS boost on. So it was kind of a letdown at first, but then they reset their system and were able to actually bring FPS boost back up on there and actually see the improvement in quality. So you're talking Sniper Elite 4, I think, was playing between 60 and 100 frames per second there, which honestly, that's pretty good. For looking at older games themselves, I think that's definitely a very cool thing to see. Including working with the developers themselves to say, hey, we want to give your game this extra oomph here's what we need from you, here's what we're going to do, and they work together at least in some fashion to get these looking much better, or at least running much faster, excuse me. So I'm curious to see what the next series of games are. I'm curious to find out what the next series of really just next series of games. I thought there was gonna be more stuff there, but of course my mind's going weird. I am curious though, really, because I mean that's only 5 games right now. I honestly would have expected a little bit more in house, kind of coming up off the bat, especially because they own Rare. We got the Coalition, we've got 343 Industries, but a lot of that stuff already runs at 60 frames per second anyway, and has already had remasters. So it's gonna be curious to see.
Back.
You're back, Kyle. You've returned to us, sir.
Yeah, I heard some of the audio. I was cutting in and out. I had issues with my dogs freaking out.
Oh, okay. You're all good, man. No worries. So what we're talking about here, is on this FPS boost functionality that's being added to the Xbox Series X and S. And did you hear me talking about the Kotaku testing of it?
A little bit. Like I said, you were cutting in and out, so.
Okay. All right. So really what's happening there is Kotaku did test this out. So the FPS boost is supposed to give older Xbox One games an increase in frame rate while not losing quality of the game itself, or at least hurting the way the game is supposed to be played. This is out only for reviewers to take a look at right now, or your big video game media industry insider people, whoever. And what Kotaku found is that if you download a game or have the game on disc and you load up FPS boost, sometimes it may not work initially, but with Sniper Elite 4, they had to restart the entire console and then bring it back up, and FPS boost started to work again. It was more like it was running and didn't detect that it had the game there. Yeah. So I think this is cool, especially because then it means, we're not getting... It's another way of kind of bridging the gap, especially for those developers who may not want to put forth the effort for like the optimized for Series X and S moniker on their older games, but at least offer a way to enhance some of the quality. They're not going to be adding in ray tracing. They're not going to be adding in any of these dynamic things, but upping the frame rate, I think, is actually at least a good thing. Yeah. Can't fight that.
Or, maybe, moving the frame rate cap up or uncapping it entirely. Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome on some of the older games.
Yeah, exactly. What I was curious, though, about, and I don't know, again, if you're hearing this breaking it out, is that none of these games here are Microsoft first-party titles. And I know that they already have a lot of stuff that's kind of come out as 60 frames per second, or at least they're working on bringing some of that stuff up, because it's like they've got Rare stuff, they've got Gears, they've got the Coalition stuff with all the Gears games, they've got 343 Industries with all the Halo stuff. I know things are being worked out, and I think they're going to be more of the optimized for Series X and S stuff for those titles themselves. But I would figure, at least in the interim, it's like, why not give us some of those first party titles through Game Pass that have the FPS boost functionality in them too? I mean, it's just a little gripe, but
see, and I'm wondering if they're optimized for Series X and S, if they've already, uncapped the frame rate as far as they can.
Well, what I'm saying though is that if they're in the process of being optimized, it's like, if this is a feature that's easy enough to incorporate and to incorporate, and also to I want to say here, to incorporate, at least, as like a first thing they can do that, then circle back around with the optimized part, with the enhanced lighting, the enhanced details and such. Give us at least one part of it, but that could just be me being picky. That's all.
I don't know. I think this is them trying to bridge the gap for third-party games to that optimization that you would see for the games that are supposed to be optimized for Series X and S. Okay. If they truly are, actually optimized, and they have the best frame rate possible and whatnot for those particular systems.
I gotcha.
So I don't know. Maybe that's my take on it. So
yeah, no, that's one thing. I guess let's just I'm just curious to know what the next slate of games is going to be on there, and it's such a weird mix there of games that are supported right out the gate. But I don't know. I guess maybe that's some of those they realize that people are still playing more of, but maybe not necessarily, compared to some other titles. So it's like, okay, these are high up enough on the list. Let's talk to the devs and get this done.
Right.
So, but let's go ahead and circle back around to that story that Kyle had to run away from here.
Yeah.
And I can actually go ahead and flip you back on here. Look, he's back. See?
Yeah.
So talking again here, everything Nintendo showed during today's Direct, and as you said there, Kyle, you really kind of walked away disappointed from this. I walked away kind of. I mean, I didn't really know what to go into expecting. I don't play my Switch anymore. I'm actually looking to sell my Switch Lite. So if you know anybody who wants to buy it, there's that. But let's kind of go through here and talk about some of the things that were actually announced and what was talked about. So, of course, we got another sword fighter, again, being added to Smash Bros. Ultimate. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Pyre is joining Smash Bros. Because, of course, that's what everybody needs is another sword fighter. We've get Fall Guys is going to the Switch alongside Outer Wilds and Samurai Warriors 5. So Fall Guys going is actually going to be really cool, especially if they offer split screen on there with, just sharing the Joy-Cons.
I'm surprised Fall Guys wasn't on there at launch. Honestly, that's like
a interesting thing to
really
think
good
about.
pairing.
It really is, I think.
And then Outer Wilds, I might actually pick that up on the Switch so I can play it because I know you played it, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's on Game Pass, but I don't know, be able to take it with me on a little bit bigger screen. I might pick it up on there.
Okay. Yeah, give it a try and let me know what you think about it. We get Famicom Detective Club stories getting localized, murder mystery, visual novel series C, The Missing Heir and The Girl Who Stands Behind remade and ported to the Switch. Of course, for all you JRPG fans, we're getting Legend of Mana, enhanced version of the PS1 era action JRPG on June 4th. So yay to all of you, especially Dan, who gets to play another JRPG. We got a new Mario Golf coming. Woo! Yeah! All right.
This
I know
one
everybody's all
looks
excited
like it
about
has a story too.
I did not realize it had a story campaign. That was what I didn't realize about. But hey, that's cool. Let me go ahead and open up the article here to look at that. Let's see here from the rest of the stuff on Kotaku here. Let's see. Participate in speed golf, which sounds like the opposite of real golf, or take your Mii character through the game's story mode. Okay, I gotta play this trailer really quick. I gotta see this.
I don't know. I think it'll be fun. I'll probably pick it up. The Mario sports games are usually pretty fun, even if you're not a big sports game person. The Mario ones are, even if they stick kind of somewhat true to the sport, they're still pretty fun.
Yeah, and of course you get to use your Joy-Cons and stand there, of course, just with the acting like it's a golf club. And then the speed,
I imagine that's optional.
Right, and this speed golf mode looks kind of like they looks like they kind of took a cue out of those Golf with Friends type games on PC.
Yeah.
Looks like they took a cue from that one, to kind of get through these things fast.
Story mode as a Mii character.
And then, of course, story mode is your Mii character. Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway, I mean, you're not wrong. The Mario sports games are fun, and I think they're a little bit more accessible because of the characters in there versus like your EA sports games. But what have you. Monster Hunt Rise did get a new trailer. Of course, that's just up here, but with nothing else there. We also got some more things with release dates. Capcom Arcade Stadium came out the day of the Nintendo Direct. Stubbs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pulse is coming out March 16th. Tales from the Borderlands is coming out on March 24th. Of course, that's just a re-release of the game itself. DC Superhero Girls Teen Power June 4th. No More Heroes 3 is August 27th. And Knockout City is May 21st. Neon White, we got an anime shooter coming from the makers of Donut County. Switch is getting Miitopia. So Miitopia was a game that was out originally on the Nintendo 3DS that allowed you to go through with either you on your own or with folks you picked up through the 3DS's pass system, where if you pass by another 3DS user, you could actually get their user profile information to share puzzle pieces with and such. You also incorporated here too. Mario and all these other different things are coming to Animal Crossing's New Horizons, Project Triangle Strategy, new tactical RPG, Star Wars
That
Hunters.
looks really cool.
It does kind of look neat here. Star Wars Hunters itself is actually some sort of multiplayer shooter being made, surprisingly, by Zynga, by the Candy Crush team. So
Yeah.
that's really bizarre. World's End Club is a new detective story from the makers of Danganronpa. The Switch is getting the Ninja Gaiden trilogy release. Hyrule Warriors, of course, is getting DLC. And then, of course, Skyward Sword is getting an HD re-release on the Switch as well, which also includes not only the game, of course, standalone, but you can buy Joy-Cons now where the right one looks like the hilt and handle of the Master Sword, and the left one looks like the Hylian shield, which that's actually a pretty cool pairing for it too. And then, of course, lastly, the really big news out of all of it is that we got an announcement for Splatoon 3.
That's
Hooray.
one that I'll play.
Yeah.
Because I love the Splatoon games.
Right. And, of course, all the trailers are up there. Everything's up there and available. But, yeah, like, kind of going through the list there was no talk of Breath of the Wild 2. Like, nothing else shown off except, we had that original trailer where it was, like, the weird mummy Ganon that was hiding underground and you and Zelda were going to look for whatever. We didn't get anything else that I think really the only game in here that came out with some like major substance there was Splatoon 3. I think everything else is just not necessarily new. It's just a lot of it is kind of re-release stuff or way later down the line.
Yeah, no more Heroes. That's clear,
There's
in
one.
August. Stubbs is kind of cool. That was a fun, wacky, original Xbox era game, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so. And then Knockout
I don't
City.
think it was on a Nintendo console before, though.
No, I don't think so. I think this is its first release on a Nintendo console. Excuse me.
Yeah.
However, what I find one of the games here I find interesting on the list overall that kind of has my curiosity, but I don't think it's going to last very long, is Knockout City. And Knockout City is a dodgeball game that has it's like a hero dodgeball game is basically the way to describe it. Is that it's you playing with your friends against, of course, another team. It doesn't say if there's any types of AI mode or anything like that, but it's just basically competitive dodgeball, really, against your team versus the other. And then it looks like the characters you can pick from have some sort of ultimate abilities too, whether it's being able to actually become a dodgeball for some sort of big explosive ability, being able to run around faster. There's a bunch of other there's a lot of other things that were in that trailer they were showing off too, but it definitely looks like it's going to be fun, but I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm kind of seeing this almost go. What was the rocket game that got announced at E3 this last year?
Shoot.
The one where basically everybody has a rocket launcher for a gun.
Yeah,
and
Rocket
all the
something
rockets do
Arena.
Yeah. This gives me vibes of that game. Yeah.
That I immediately thought that when I saw the images when I clicked on the web page.
Yeah, it looks
the
exactly
beta,
like
so,
it though.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it does look fun. I just don't know how long exactly it's going to go on for though. But
If it's on online multiplayer, if it focuses at all on online multiplayer, I don't see it being successful on the Switch. The Splatoon works, but to an extent. I mean, there are a lot of games that if you tried to play them on the Switch, they just wouldn't work because their party system is terrible. Switch Online needs like an actual party system with an actual like comm system rather than having to use your cell phone.
Yeah, that is still one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen them come up with. I mean, I don't know, but it really does need a whole dedicated comm system built into the Switch itself that doesn't require you to use anything additional. So yeah, I think the biggest things of substance then really Splatoon 3's at the top of the list. I think Fall Guys is up there for sure too.
I'll probably pick up
Knockout City.
Zelda. Honestly, just because I didn't play it on the Wii, but that one looked really, I don't know, boring and repetitive. I I I watched a buddy play a good chunk of it, and I don't know, it it seemed fairly repetitive, but I like more so than other Zelda games, you know.
Right.
But I don't know. The fact that there's no or that you can play it without motion control, that might be a plus enough to actually pick it up.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see more of the motion control stuff too as things carry along, because I know they had to kind of refine things and make some tweaks for it to be able to work, but I'm curious to see where the motion controls
Well,
really sit.
and I guess one of the things is because I thought it wasn't going to have motion controls.
They said they had to do some sort of like tweaks to actually make, yeah, give you the option to forego motion controls to play the game with a standard controller.
See, and the way it looked without the motion controls was you were basically playing it kind of like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Like you
Yeah,
had your one analog stick that was your sword motions, and then you used your other stick for motion. And I don't know, that works for me. I loved Rising Revengeance. Um, I don't know. I think it'll be cool.
yeah, it says here originally Skyward Sword made use of the Wiimote and Nunchuck for sword and shield controls, and the new version will replicate that with the Switch Joy-Cons motion control functionality. So really just a one for one here. However, the game will also allow for button controls if you feel that swinging controllers every which way is a trend best left in 2011. I like that. So you get your choice.
Meh.
Yeah. But that's going to be, I mean, I guess that's going to force you though, especially on the Switch Lite, to just use just button controls anyway, because I don't want to try to break out Joy-Cons to play there. But again, I'm selling my Switch Lite, so what have you there. Anyway, of course, a lot of things coming out. Some things maybe not talked about that we were kind of expecting to hear talk about, but I'll leave that up to you guys, of course, to go look at that and make your own judgments there too. And Alex adds here on Facebook, and to think I used to find it odd when Mario was a boxing ref. Man, you're really dating yourself there, Alex. I swear, man, that's you're really showing your age there. I mean, you're talking freaking Punch Out, man. Let's go ahead and move on here to our next story. And Kyle, you can talk to us about this one, because this is a very interesting kind of discussion that we can have here regarding what happened with Stadia a couple of weeks ago. So talk to us about this one from VG247. Microsoft's Bethesda acquisition cited as one of the reasons Google Stadia killed internal studios, based on a report.
The last days of Google's game-making studios at Stadia may have been worse than we thought. If Google's decision to shut down all internal Stadia development studios without making a single game seemed sudden, it was also the way for the people Google let go. A Kotaku report covering the last few days of Stadia's dev teams revealed that just the week prior, Stadia GM and longtime game executive Phil Harrison told everyone in an email that Stadia Games and Entertainment has made great progress building a diverse and talented team and establishing a strong lineup of Stadia exclusive games. We will confirm that SG&E investment envelope shortly, which will in turn inform the SG&E strategy in 2021, objectives and key results. The investment envelope Harrison was referring to here was none at all, because 5 days later he broke the news that to the world that Stadia is done with making games, as it's repositions the business around publishing and licensing tech. This is also when teams found out about Google's decision to let them go. In a follow-up conference call with affected teams, Harrison was specifically asked what changed between the time of his email and the decision to shut down the studio. According to Kotaku, Harrison told developers that management had known of Google's decision and apologized for his misleading email the week prior. Harrison reportedly also said that Microsoft's move to acquire Bethesda's parent company was one of the reasons behind Google's decision, though it's not clear what that actually means. So, basically, I think with the whole acquisition thing, I feel like it's Google basically throwing in the towel. They see Microsoft being one of their major competitors
Right.
with the cloud gaming, and they're going, "Oh well, shit! They just bought up a chunk of the game industry. We're done."
Yeah, that's the way I see it too. I first off, I feel bad for the developers being told the week prior. It's like, hey, everything's fine,
Yeah,
everything's cool. You guys are going to
that's
be doing some good things here, and
that's
then
really
like
crappy.
it's like you go into work the next week. It's like, well, I'm out of a job now. I think that's just the biggest thing here to really focus on is just that they knew and then decided to still send the email anyway. But well, whatever on
But
that one.
this
Shame on
also
them.
comes,
But
the same week that Terraria actually got canceled for Stadia, and it was all because the lead developer or creator of Stadia, or not Stadia, for
of
Terraria,
Terraria, yeah.
uh, yeah, he lost access to his Google Drive and his Gmail, and everything was completely locked out, and was given the runaround by Google's text or Google's automated support. So I don't know what's going on with Google there.
Yeah, that is such a shame too, especially that a developer of a game, especially like Terraria as an example, is completely locked out and can't do anything. It's like, well, here's your retribution. You're not getting my game now.
Yeah,
Which it's
it's
I don't
like
know
no
what.
skin off my back. I've already sold
Yeah,
how many
I
copies
still
on
I still don't know what the
these
install
other
base.
formats.
Yeah, and we still don't know what the install base is for a lot of games anyway on Stadia. So it's tough to say exactly how much of that is really going to be affected. Um, But it's interesting though to think that Microsoft buying Bethesda or buying ZeniMax, really the parent company of Bethesda, is what made the adjustment there because it really shouldn't have affected anything necessarily unless they realize, like, I mean, you look at how many studios are really truly independent now. I mean, Epic Games is
Mhm.
kind of owned by another company. Bethesda, of course, now being picked up. EA is its own big conglomeration of BS. Ubisoft is, of course, another big conglomeration of BS. We talked about, oh God, what was the developer we talked about or publisher? Not last week, but the week prior. The ones who bought Gearbox. They're the ones who you
Oh,
said were kind of like the competitors to Tencent, but then they were formerly
yeah,
they were a former like
the
studio,
it,
like
it
I can't
was
remember what it is.
Embracer Group, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and it was formerly
Yeah,
one of these other companies that we all knew growing up. Excuse me, I just can't remember what that was.
yeah,
Um,
I don't recall
that could
offhand.
be it though. Is that you think a lot of these independent ones are kind of just not there anymore, and so I
Well,
could
and
see that, but
we just
just don't
had,
know.
what was it? I think EA Activision acquire Codemasters,
Hmm.
if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
that
That just
sounds.
happened a couple days
Yeah,
ago. So
that did. Yeah, so every big group is buying out the not even the little guys. I mean, I wouldn't consider Bethesda little.
they're buying out the
Mhm.
middle guys, or the guys that are right next door to them.
Yeah, and it's
It's
going to make
becoming
those.
very dog eat dog.
Yeah, and it's going to make those contracts very interesting, especially when we see whatever comes up of this supposed collaboration between, like this rumored thing between Microsoft and Nintendo. Because since you didn't do the news with me last week,
Hmm.
one of the stories I talked about was um, a new platform or new way to play Halo, and it wasn't necessarily indicative of who it was going to be. There was nothing that was really teased about who it was going to be. Um, but the rumor is that it was going to be possibly Halo in some form going to the Nintendo Switch. And I was a little
Oh,
confused and a little
geez.
perplexed by that. But I guess Microsoft or Nintendo rolled out a concierge program for the Nintendo Switch, and it's an app you can put on the Switch to help guide people through different things on the Switch itself, recommending games, helping you use the Switch, parental controls, account stuff, so on and so forth. And I guess it uses Microsoft Teams built right into the Switch to actually help make that
Wow.
work. And so Microsoft
That's
Teams,
crazy.
yeah, and Microsoft Teams, I mean, it's not like it's something expensive to go get anyway. I mean, if you're a corporation, you need some sort of chat software, and Teams offers both video chat and messaging chat as well too. So it was one of those things that came up that that Teams was being used there. So it's like, okay, is Microsoft possibly going to be looking at either bringing Game Pass to the Switch, or are they going to be looking to bring something like this? So there could be something there in the weird collaboration world in that besides the companies getting scooped up, that had Google spooked for Stadia. And it's like, well, let's just see what we can do for licensing purposes then. Which means that this could be another nail in the coffin for Stadia, and maybe next year it won't exist anymore.
Right.
Yeah. But
Well, I can honestly say I've canceled my Stadia membership. I mean, it works nice. Don't get me wrong, for a streaming service, it works actually pretty well. But I don't know. If I don't want to be, I don't know. I feel like I'm being limited in a way when I'm buying games and I have to pay for a service to even play the games that I've bought. And then, not even necessarily that at times. It just there's not even people on there anymore. Like if you go to play a multiplayer game, there's not really that much player base.
Yeah, you need more of that cross-platform support to really be able to bolster your multiplayer.
You really
be able to bolster your community. Otherwise, if you're cutting people off on it, then you're SOL, I guess. It's just one of those problems.
Yeah, going forward, especially with Amazon doing their Luna, they're gonna have to cooperate with the other companies for crossplay. Otherwise, I don't see them being successful.
Yeah, and speaking of Luna, Amazon's game studio, it's not one of the stories we have here, but one of Amazon's game studio actually canceled their MMO.
Did they? Oh,
yeah, they
that's
canceled
right.
this
Yeah,
week.
I heard that.
Yeah, so
That's
I know
right. I
that
forgot I had heard
whatever's
that.
going on with Crucible is going on with Crucible, but their MMO they decided to cancel though too. So maybe they're also seeing it. But I know they have a partnership with
pretty neat.
Yeah, but they have a partnership with Ubisoft though for games, which is different than what Stadia has right now, where Stadia is just a hodgepodge of everything. But Luna has more to its catalog because it has Ubisoft incorporated with it, but it also has other games from other companies as well too with it too. So it's very possible that Amazon may come out on top with this, but may not last much longer after Stadia goes too. I guess it depends on how we see things positioned with the next iteration of Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Now and whatever Nintendo decides to do too. So, anyway, let's go ahead and move on here to our next story. And of course, this is not one I expected, but we've got it here, and I guess let's talk about it a bit. PlayStation 5 DualSense controller drift. Class action lawsuit filed against Sony. And this comes to us from IGN. A U.S. law firm has filed a class action lawsuit against Sony, alleging that the PS5 DualSense controller is defective due to drift, and that that Sony was aware of the problem without disclosing it. The suit calls Sony's conduct fraudulent, deceptive, unlawful, and unfair. Last week, IGN reported on an investigation into DualSense drift by the law firm Chimicles, Swartz, Kreiner, and Donaldson Smith LLP, whatever. The firm has now formally filed a class action lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. In documents provided to IGN, the suit is filed on behalf of the plaintiff Lamarck Turner and all others similarly situated, and names the defendants as Sony Corporation of America and Sony Interactive Entertainment. To IGN's knowledge, this is the first such suit filed against Sony regarding DualSense, and it may well not be the last. So the article goes on to say the complaint described the PS5's DualSense controller as defective, as it contains a defect that results in characters or gameplay moving on the screen without user command or manual operation of the joystick, known popularly popularly as controller drift. Further, the complaint alleges that Sony has at all relevant times been aware of the problems with drift through online customer complaints, complaints made by consumers directly to it, and through its own pre-release testing. The suit also alleges that Sony's options for controller repair are too limited. When consumers experience the drift defect, the options for repair are slim. Reportedly, Sony PlayStation's dedicated portal for issues with the PS5 hardware, including the DualSense controller, is experiencing a backlog and redirecting consumers to contact a customer service agent via the contact page for PlayStation support. Customers are experiencing long wait times and have to deal with a maze of pre-recorded phone prompts before finally speaking with an agent concerning repairs for DualSense controller drift. So, we are now not only seeing Nintendo getting hit with class action lawsuit anyway on the drift issue with the Joy-Cons. Sony has now entered the game. Sony has now entered the challenge there and is getting looked into on this part here.
Here's where it's even crazier with the Sony thing. These are people that are day one out of the box getting controllers that have drift. They haven't even touched them yet. They're pulling them out of that soft, like, plasticky paper shit, and you already have drift. So, and at least with the Switch, you're hearing about it, a month to 3 months down the line. And I think, let's be real, part of that, and part of stick drift in the past has always been user. I mean, we didn't talk about it ever with the 64, but I mean,
oh god, yeah.
I mean, think about the litigation that could have happened with stick drift on the 64 because of the way the analog stick was made. You had that angled port that you had to that you're literally ground down your analog stick. I had friends that, because I personally didn't have a 64 at that age, but I had friends back then when the 64 was, the IT system, that broke analog sticks off just from natural wear.
Yeah, or even the way you wrap the cable around the controller too, just multiple times. You get enough pressure put in, like going into one direction.
There was no litigation ever about any of those issues. So,
not surprised, I guess.
I think specifically when it comes to the PS5, and you get these people that day one, they haven't even gotten to play the system. They get it hooked up, and the first thing that's happening is controller drift or stick drift right out of the box. That's pretty bad, You figure you're paying $400 or $500 for a console, and granted it is only a $65 controller, but shit, that's still, you spend it and you're hoping to be able to play it right then, and you paid for it to be new. So I don't know, and I think part of it may also be, I think the potentiometers for the sticks for pretty much all the companies come from basically one place. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Really,
that's something maybe they need to look into.
Yeah, they may want to start considering, possible changes to that too. Like, imagine the odds that the thumbsticks or the analog sticks on the DualSense controller are just old Joy-Con analog stick configurations, just with bigger nubs on them because of the size of the controller.
Right.
Imagine that's just the pain there with it. But it's not necessarily a surprise to see that this is going on. You're right. The controller itself is packaged haphazardly. I've seen unboxing videos of the PlayStation 5. I mean, it's in there nice and neat, but it definitely is not padded down enough. I mean, even the Xbox Series X controller was in a better position than this one.
Yeah.
I don't know really what else to think on this one. I guess what we're going to have to just do is see what happens with the class action lawsuit and see how many other people actually come forward with it, because it doesn't specify the number of people. It only says the one person so far who at least is filed on behalf of, save for, everybody else. So I'm curious to know what the overall effect of this is compared to what we've seen number-wise for the Joy-Con issue. That's going to be the big thing. But anyway, with that, let's move on here to our next story. And Kyle, you can talk to us about this one here from PC Gamer. Where's my button? Right here. Microsoft is making one of the most positive moves for game accessibility in years. Developers can now send their PC or Xbox game to Microsoft to see if it's up to the accessibility standards and to find out ways to improve. Kyle, what is Microsoft doing for these games?
Well, Microsoft has updated its Xbox accessibility guidelines to help foster more inclusive practices in the game industry. The list includes ways for developers to reduce barriers for disabled gamers, everything from input device support to UI tweaks, and has since been improved with feedback from Microsoft's gaming and disability community. Furthermore, devs can now ship the Xbox or PC game over to Microsoft for analysis and validation to the XAG specifications. There's a heap of information in the guidelines to help any developer get started in making the game or otherwise more accessible. Uh, it includes topics such as game difficulty, speech to text, audio customization, screen narration, and more. You can check out the full site, of course, and it's free and easy to use. The latest version includes improvements and updates intended to make the guidelines even more useful and more digestible for busy developers. These updates include improved language to make sure the guidelines are clear and easy to understand, clear goals, improved overview of each XAG guideline section, uh, scoping questions to guide developers to high priority updates, background information, and more examples. Perhaps most crucially, however, is the ability for developers to ratify whether their game hits the XAG standard and where it does not by those best versed in the guidelines, Microsoft's own gaming accessibility team.
So they are really opening up more of the accessibility here to just
there
make
was
things
more to the article. Sorry, my
Yeah,
mouse
that's good.
flipped
No,
out.
you're cool. You're all right, man. It's just more emphasizing on what's kind of going on here. But it's the fact that Microsoft is saying you don't have to you don't have to develop a game for Xbox. You know, I mean, Microsoft owns Windows anyway, and it's PC. But the fact that it's like you can go to Microsoft and work through their guidelines and work through them to be able to make sure that your game is more inclusive, that it helps. It helps to break those barriers where people can't actually play these games properly without some type of support. And of course, Microsoft has been really good at that. Like our picture here at the bottom of the screen is of the Xbox adaptive controller that allows you to plug in a myriad of different things to it, buttons, other different types of controllers to it as well. And those
things are cool.
They really are. And they're very light. They're very easy to set up. One of the great things, though, anyway, is that anybody with any type of disability or any type of problem actually using a regular Xbox controller or even on PC using keyboard mouse can use something like this to still play and enjoy games. And the fact that, Microsoft has really put their best foot forward by creating something like this and now going around to say, hey, you develop for Xbox, you develop for PC, let's bring you in here, let's make sure that your games actually fit this just fine. And then it gives Microsoft some good PR here by being able to help make sure that things are more inclusive, and also gives the developers an additional marketing point, an additional talking point about their game that says, hey, we have made sure to go through Microsoft's accessibility guidelines here to ensure that this game meets the quality for you who has these types of problems.
Well, and it speaks loads, to the fact that, they want to say, hey, we want our game to be able to be played by everyone, that actually wants to play it.
Exactly. That's I think one of the great things about that itself, because you don't really see that from the other companies that are out there so far. I mean, you've got some accessibility things out there, but a lot of it is very simple stuff. Whether it's photosensitivity changes, you've also got really a lot of it is for folks who are colorblind, as well as changing different colors to be able to help them see different things. But I think Microsoft is really putting they're putting their best foot forward on this one and addressing something that really hasn't been fully addressed in the industry yet. and it's not really requiring anything additional from any other companies other than just them saying, or looking at the guide and then working through Microsoft and the Xbox team to get it to that proper level. So good on you, Microsoft. We really are happy to see that and can't wait to see what comes out of it. But we have one more story to talk about here. And we'll follow up, of course, next week's news on where things sit too. But this is our last story for tonight, Kyle. Let's talk about what we saw here. Everything Blizzard announced during BlizzCon Line's opening ceremony. Did you watch any of this?
I did not.
You're
unfortunately.
Fired. You're fired.
I
Well,
know.
I'm gonna go ahead and just hide him here
I
really
missed
quick.
all the videos this
There we
week.
go. There, he's gone. Kyle is now no longer on the screen anymore. Thanks,
Wow.
everybody. Bye, Kyle.
Ouch.
Thank God for controlling everything here, right? All right, so let's kind of talk about this here. I'll kind of go through the list here, and we can kind of look at a few things. So, first things first, of course,
I was
Blizzard is
hearing a bunch about stuff, though.
Yep,
So.
Blizzard is remaking Diablo 2. The new version called Diablo 2 Resurrected sports significantly better, fully 3D graphics as well as cross-progression on both PC and consoles. It's a full HD remaster of the original game and its expansion, Lord of Destruction. All cinematics will also be recreated and updated shot for shot. If you hate graphics, you can also play this game in its original form, coming out sometime this year. They also announced the new Rogue class for Diablo 4. For Diablo 4. Blizzard unveiled her in a trailer in which she confessed to a priest that she'd done a lot of sins that mostly involve stealing and murder, as you expect from a rogue, and then gave him a bunch of disembodied ears, which he apparently collects. It was weird, but in a good, compelling way. Yeah, it was a good trailer. In the game, you can customize her into an archer or a cloak and dagger rogue, or probably something in between. Blizzard also said the severed ears aren't just for show, so I don't know. World of Warcraft Shadowlands is getting its first big update called Chains of Domination. This is a leak, actually, that came out this last week, kind of talking about some of the things coming down here. You'll be able to actually confront the Banshee Queen, Sylvanas, also get a new zone and an ability to fly, I guess, as well, too. You also, for those fans of WoW Classic, you're also getting the Burning Crusade expansion into WoW Classic. So the first expansion is coming to it. Players will be able to choose if individual characters move on to the expansion or stay in the pleasingly plain halls of Vanilla forever. Burning Crusade hasn't aged super well, so a lot of feeling, taking up on the ladder. Hearthstone's getting a new expansion called Forged in the Barrens. Blizzard Arcade Collection is just came out today for PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, and this is a lot of early Blizzard games like The Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn. And then, of course, I didn't expect this. I don't know why. Metallica had played For Whom the Bell Tolls. I guess they did a concert for him. I think they said it was BlizzCon 2014 that Metallica actually did a concert during the opening ceremony. Yeah, so I guess they decided to come back and do this too. Which, funny thing is that on YouTube, they were not censored. The audio didn't cut off or anything, but Twitch's DMCA tools actually went ahead and shut off the audio and replaced it with generic folk music. So while you've got Kirk Hammett, rocking away, on screen, it's just folk music. So if you want to find that video from Twitch, it's fucking hilarious that's what happened.
That's great. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Of course, that was specifically opening ceremonies, but I want to talk about, though, one of the things here for us at the NPCs, and one of the games in particular that that all of us love, and I think I can say that for all of us. I mean, I think Kyle's a good example there with what he's wearing right now, is Overwatch 2. We did not get a date for it, though, of course, with this. It was already announced in their financial earnings call just recently that they have no date set for Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 to release. At least it looks like it's not going to happen this year. But they did have a behind the scenes of Overwatch 2, and Kyle, there was a lot of cool shit they talked about. First and foremost, of course, they showed off Sojourn a little bit more. It looks like she's going to be a damage character. They did not show off an ult for her, but they did show off that her main weapon is going to be a railgun that looks like it has 2 different modes of fire, some sort of charged up ability that offers at least a pretty damaging shot. And then she's going to have a 3-shot type burst, similar to what looks like, God damn it, what's the healer?
Baptiste?
Baptiste, thank you. Yes, it's going to be a 3-shot like his. But it looks like she's just going to be specifically damaged, though. They didn't really show anything that's going to be support related. They did show off as well a couple new maps. We're getting Rome and New York City are two of the ones that they've shown off so far. All of the maps that we know and love from Overwatch 1, I'm going to call it Overwatch 1 just going forward now, are going to be getting a makeover. So they're gonna be the maps that we know and love and play on right now, but they're going to have a significant upgrade, at least in quality. And for some of these maps, especially what they showed off with Kings Row, they're going to get new areas opened up in them, particularly as they relate to PvE and the story missions. And then they're also adding in dynamic weather and dynamic lighting too, as it relate, or dynamic environments, excuse me. So not lighting, but environments. So if you want to play Hollywood during the day, you can do it during the day. If you want to play Hollywood at night, you get Hollywood at night. You want a dust storm to take over Temple of Anubis, you're going to get a dust storm taking over Temple of Anubis.
Ooh.
They also showed off different things like snow as well, playing into some of the story stuff as well. They did kind of delve in a little bit to the skill tree stuff that you're going to see for like the story missions as well. One of the things they talked about that freaked out some people, of course, is that you might be able to arm Junkrat with 2 grenade launchers. So he can do it with grenade launchers. But I don't know exactly how but they didn't really specify how far things were going to go with the story stuff specifically. Like if you progress on your character, fucking earbud here. They didn't progress along saying how far like it was going to be. Like, is this going to carry over to the competitive side of things? But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case so far. They did talk about some of the stuff with competitive. They did talk about some stuff with your standard PvP as well. But it looks like that's going to be really a lot of the same stuff we already know of right now. Let's see, what else was it they talked about? Of course, we've got skin updates as well, like base level skins are changing. They did show off in detail. There are pictures up on the Overwatch Twitter. They showed off Reaper. They showed off, what is it? Reaper, McCree, Pharah, and there was a 4th one as well, too. Widowmaker. So they have brand new default skins. Reapers for sure, I think, is actually one of the coolest looking newest ones so far, outside of like Genji's, Cyber Ninja with the hoodie type setup. And I can actually bring that up here for people to see. Let me just go to Twitter really quick. But Reaper, it looks like his mask actually shrank down a bit, and he's got definitely like more like armor on him. Like he's not just running around
website, it's got a cool, like, you select a picture of a person, and then it's got a slider, like a wipe slider, that you see, it, like, starts at midway in between on a character, and you can slide it to see what their new look is.
And that's on what website? That's on the actual Overwatch site?
That's on Overwatch 2. Yeah, the Overwatch 2 website.
Okay, I'm going. Yeah, I believe you. I'm going now.
It's got a cool little wipe tool.
Okay, I'm going.
Yeah, right now they just have Lucio, Reinhardt, Mercy, Winston, Tracer, Genji, and Mei. But
okay, so they've definitely got some pictures. It's still
kind of neat.
Yep. Where the hell is it? Like, I'm here, and I want to see it.
You have to hover over Lucio, and it's new look.
New look. Thank you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to slide that way because that's the one we already like. Let me go ahead and switch over to Chrome Capture. Okay. So here is Lucio as we see him now. And, oops, stupid freaking right click. And there is what Lucio is changing to. Definitely more of a ready for battle armor type setup. Compared to his original look anyway, but of course it really doesn't detract from what we know as Lucio. Like, you look at that, it's like, that is Lucio. I actually
like old Winston better.
Oh, let's take a look at
like
Winston.
New here. Winston looks too smooth.
So there's old Winston. There's new Winston. It looks like he chunked out. No, hold on a minute. I'm doing the wipe here, and it looks like he shrank. Like, he is smaller in size. Like, if you wipe on the thing here, starting from where the Overwatch logo is on his right arm, or on his left arm, and just start swiping over, and you look, his shoulders down lower. He's smaller. His beard has gotten much bigger, though, too. But yeah, he looks
Tracer's
like...
upper body got smaller, and her lower body got, like, thicker. It's weird.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, she definitely did for sure, didn't she? But
Yeah.
you look at that, you know that's Tracer. That's the big thing, at least, is that they didn't detract away from the characters to not let you see or not really take away from who they are. Like, we know exactly who they are. Mercy, of course, definitely looks like she's aged up as well too. I really like the look of hers as well.
May, there's like hardly any difference.
Oh, May. Oh, they're really, yeah, she just let her hair down and she's got a new parka. That's
Yeah.
it. Even Snowball, like, Snowball got some bigger ears. That's all he got.
Well,
Poor
getting
Snowball.
frozen for like a decade.
Yep. And then, of course, Cyber Ninja's now in clothes and some pretty kick-ass looking sweats. And I'm guessing Adidas because of the lines there, the green lines on the shoes.
That's a pretty BA hoodie.
Yeah, I really hope we get some re-releases of hoodies or some new hoodies, kind of like, what you're wearing, and I've got my Lucio one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who else do we see here? Reinhardt, of course.
Well, I think they have that coat available for Genji already on the website.
Oh, do they really? I'm going to have to go spend
Yeah.
money. Reinhardt,
They
I
actually
think
had it
looks great
available
still,
after
too.
the
Yeah.
announcement of the last year. So
Okay.
Uh,
But then,
yeah.
of course, if I go over here to the Twitter, you can also see here. Here is McCree in all of his glory. Of course, seeing where he has evolved a bit with a little bit shinier armor and a red poncho there. Of course, he's got the mustache and goatee though too. Farah has had a massive overhaul. She looks even more like someone went crazy with messing with Gundam parts and just like, where can I stick these extra pieces? Like I was saying there, of course, Reaper, his mask shrank down, and he definitely looks like he attached more armor to his trench coat, but he still looks awesome as hell. And, of course, Widowmaker got a little bit of a cleanup there, too. She really sports most of the same stuff that she already has in her base character design. One of the bigger changes, of course, is that it looks like they nix a lot of that carbon fiber type look that she had previously, or that she has on her current base skin. But gotta say, it looks really freaking good. I'm very excited to see exactly what comes out of the rest of this and what other things we actually get to see. But there really won't be a lot necessarily on Overwatch anymore. If I go look at the BlizzCon schedule here. Excuse me. Let's see here. Let's see. They did the opening ceremony. Let's see. Was this today? Okay, so they go through tomorrow. So, of course, next week we'll do the follow-up here. We've got Overwatch League Shock versus the World tomorrow at 1 p.m. Mountain Time or 12 p.m. Pacific Time. So that's going to be Shock playing San Francisco Shock, the winners of the last Overwatch League championship. Are going to be doing that. And then from there, we've got a couple little Overwatch things there too. But then really a lot of the focus on here is World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, and a lot of Diablo stuff too. So I don't think we're going to really see much else.
Still haven't heard anything about that mobile Diablo.
Immortal?
You know?
Yeah, we really haven't, had we?
Whatever happened to Diablo Immortal?
Yeah, we really haven't seen much else.
Ironically looked that up the other day on the Google Play Store, and you still actually cannot download it.
I wonder if you have to go find the APK and sideload it, and then VPN to show yourself in Australia or something.
Yeah, you can't install it. You can't register for anything on it. Yeah, there's nothing. It brings up the page for it, but nothing. So
awesome.
I don't know. I'm hoping they don't screw up Diablo 2.
That would be nice if they didn't do that, right?
Well, I especially after getting burned with Warcraft 3.
I know, right? You can't suffer another
don't do
another
me
kick.
like that 2
well, remember,
years in a row.
They did StarCraft well. They did Warcraft 3 Reforged horribly. And now we can only hope that Diablo 2 is better.
Nah, I'm sure it will be.
I don't know. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And with that is actually it for our news this week, guys. So thanks for sticking with us on this one. Of course, Kyle, as always, it's a pleasure to actually be able to see you. It's be able to talk to you about the news and, yeah, all the fun stuff that goes along with that. And of course, to you, our audience, thank you so much for tuning in to our episode. Of course, we got a new podcast coming up this next week. We've got a surprise for you in store too. We actually have a potential fourth being added to the ranks of the NPCs as well too. I guess we're just gonna have to see how things play out, but you'll be able to listen to that new person coming up here on our What Are You Playing episode on Tuesday, and then of course on Thursday look for our new topic where we're going to be talking about our favorite celebrity voiceovers in video games. It's going to be a fun one for sure. I've already got a couple on my list, and I'm sure that they're already going to get mentioned, so I got to make sure I go first so I can get them out there. Again, with that, though, of course, Kyle, I'm going to tell you this right now. I do not have the end screen loaded for this anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and kill the stream where I need to here. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We will catch you guys all next week.
Laters.